What do you say to the bank when you're not going to have any money coming in and you're literally pleading to be able to keep your house?
For thousands of Australians who deferred their mortgage repayments with the debt holiday almost over, now is crunch time.
Even though it's out of my control, it's feeling like I'm failing.
We're talking about nearly $200 billion of loans which were deferred.
I go past Centrelink once a week and I look at the people all lining up there and I'm like, am I going to be one of those people?
When I walk into that space, I just feel really sad. You know, it's just sad to see it empty and being wasted. So many people could be using it right now. My name's Nikki Abercrombie. I'm a mum and a business events manager. I have a small business here in Newcastle.
When bookings for business events plummeted due to social distancing measures, Nikki was forced to lay off one of her staff members.
It was devastating. They understood, but it was, you know, we cried together. It was awful, yep.
Her mortgage is $415,000 with an average monthly repayment of $1,800.
The reason I deferred my mortgage payments was just to make sure I was managing my cash flow. So immediately I needed to look at day-to-day budgets to help the business keep running and help us keep running as a family.
She hopes that by rapidly shrinking her business, then hibernating it, together with the repayment deferral, it'll get her through to her deadline later in the year. As we sit here now in June, your debt deadline will be in September. It sounds to me like, because you can't quote the day that it's due, it's sort of like a nebulous never day. Are you sort of being a bit naive really about what that debt deadline will be?
Yep, absolutely. Willfully naive about what that means actually.
The Australian Banking Association says 80,000 mortgagees are now negotiating with the banks over what comes next. Another 180,000 will do so in October. Deferrals to another 105,000 small to medium enterprise loans will expire at the end of September. Another 40,000 by October.
The unprecedented hit from COVID has caused the Australian mortgage market to become fractured, where many people have lost their jobs or had reduced hours and income and having to defer mortgages to try to stay afloat. So I think the long-term implications of the hit from COVID are still yet to play out because so many households have yet to be able to repay their loans.
You sort of have to rearrange your whole financial life. You don't know how long it's going to be there for, and you don't know how long this is going to go for.
Today, Heldy Pilley is driving the almost 5 hours just to keep her JobKeeper allowance at a rigging company now shuttered in the downturn.
We have all of our chain hoists and slings and shackles and carabiners and wires, all the things that you need for making a show go together is all here in this warehouse. It's collecting dust.
Heldy's mortgage was $320,000, but with a good income, she was paying almost double the minimum loan repayments before the deferral. It's a head start she's now eating into. With no full-time work available, she's no other choice but to leave behind her Sydney life.
So I was living here for 5 years, and then of course a single woman in Sydney, and how do you afford to even think about keeping a rental property as well as a mortgage?
She's one of the phantom middle-class mortgagees, asset-rich and cash-poor, heading into an unknown future after the debt holiday and government allowances dry up.
By the March and June quarters next year, where you're intersecting with the tapering of some of the fiscal policy supports, and that's when the real crunch point will come for the economy. It's been okay for now because some households have had their income levels significantly supported by things like JobKeeper particularly, but even other cash payments, super withdrawals and JobSeeker, which was increased. But those policies are not sustainable in the long run.
G'day Nikki, how are you? Good to see you.
Today, Nikki is having to make a tough call on one expense she's been afraid to give up.
So Nikki, what are we here today to find out about?
I'm meeting today my insurance broker. Insurance is one of those things that you're not sure about, whether it's a risk to take it out, it's a risk not to take it.
So are you at the point now where you might have to go without life insurance, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to think about that, but yeah, that's why I'm here really.
It's a grinding process for Australians in financial hardship who have told 730 it can be an administrative nightmare.
So what we might be able to do is we'll contact the insurance company and see if they'll give you a waiver of premium or maybe a 3-month holiday.
It's a minor win that might just get her through to September when her deferral will conclude.
Clearly there's a coordinated policy response coming from the government and the banks to try to reduce the negative impact of the COVID hit to the economy on the mortgage market, to try to avoid some sort of mass wave of forced selling, which would cause a collapse in house prices. So the deferrals so far initially were a 6-month window from when COVID hit from March to September. And now banks are making an assessment about the share of customers they can try to get to start repaying loans.
Heldy now lives in Potato Point, New South Wales, chewing into the headway she made paying down the mortgage, effectively living off the equity.
I think I'm one of the luckiest people at the moment. I've seen a lot of my friends having to move back in with their kids, in with their parents. Friends of mine having to close their companies.
With cash income tight, she's forced to sell cakes around the neighbourhood.
Does not cover the bills whatsoever. It probably wouldn't even cover the cost of the fuel to get into town to go to the supermarket.
So I think that's going to be the theme going forward, is that the great Australian dream has not just been home ownership, but it's also building up a portfolio of property investment as a way to get rich. But that sustainability has really been questioned.
I've got some houses here and I'm running out of money, so I could either sell my house or mortgage.
For Nikki Abercrombie, mortgage stress even led to a panic attack, which saw her go to the emergency department.
You're buying it? Got lots of takers for this house.
You know what? I'll buy both. I'll buy both.
Yeah, I think it was just all the stress and actually stopping, and the stress had just bubbled over. I felt like really claustrophobic, like it was something that was just compounding me.
Now she's contemplating the future without the house her son Niall has always called home.
I feel like I could let it go if I had to, but it's not ideal. I'd like to keep the everything the same, keep the reason why we got this house in the first place.
And I'll give you $1,000.
Ooh.
3 months later, it's September and Nikki's 6-month deferral is now over.
Today I've decided is the day that I'll be ringing my bank to talk about my mortgage repayments. If I don't get an extension, probably just have to buckle down and make some more decisions in the business.
Thank you for waiting. An operator will be with you shortly.
Okay, so I'll need to provide a statement of position to show that I'm eligible now with the reduction of income. So I got 2 options from the bank when I called. The 4-month extension, so exactly what I've done now, but just for a 4-month period. Or he did mention that I could just go interest only on my repayments for 12 months. Yeah, I can't imagine the stress I would be under right now if I haven't had that opportunity to have a financial breather.
A breather which thousands of Australians in her position are now seeking, at the mercy of not only their financial troubles, but the institutions who will decide the fate of their homes.
I think the great Australian dream is still to have your own home and be able to build wealth through the property market, but the fundamental underpinning of that has been challenged like never before.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.